Capricorn, hear this before bed to shift the energy of your tomorrow. Take a deep breath. Gently close your eyes. Let the weight of the day fall away like old leaves on sacred soil. What you are entering now is not simply a night of rest. It is a divine threshold, a moment suspended between all that was and all that has yet to be. You've carried much. You always do. The responsibilities, the roles, the invisible expectations you hold with quiet strength. But now, in this final hour of the day, something else is being asked of you. Not effort, but surrender. Because this moment, just before sleep, is not ordinary. It is alchemical, a portal. Your mind may grow quiet, but your soul awakens. Your subconscious begins to open its doors, ready to receive the seeds of the life you want to grow. And Capricorn, your tomorrow is not shaped by what others do. It is shaped by the energy you bring into your sleep. Tonight, I want to speak to the ancient part of you, the mountain soul, the silent climber, the builder of worlds. I want to help you remember that even the strongest among us need rest. Not just to recover, but to realign. You may not always show it, but you feel everything. And lately, the heaviness hasn't just been physical. It's been emotional, spiritual, ancestral. That is why this night, this sleep, this message is not a luxury. It is a ceremony. As you listen, I invite you to breathe deeply, to receive these words not just with your mind, but with your heart and body. Because the truth is simple, Capricorn, your future begins in your sleep. Your dreams are not just escape. They are instruction. And the peace you fall asleep with becomes the clarity you wake up in. So if you've been longing for more ease, more certainty, more alignment, stay with me. Let's journey inward together, into the 4 energetic gates of this sacred night. And by the time the sun rises again, something within you will have shifted. If your soul resonates with this message, feel free to like, share, or subscribe, not as a duty, but as a quiet affirmation that you are ready. Ready to soften. Ready to trust. Ready to receive. Gate 1. Releasing the invisible weight. Capricorn, let's begin at the place you rarely let anyone see, the invisible weight you carry. The truth is, people don't always realize how much you're holding. You move through the world with such steadiness, such confidence, that they assume you're fine. They lean on you. They come to you for guidance, for structure, for calm. But beneath that strong exterior, there are layers of emotional sediment, expectations, ancestral patterns, unspoken disappointments that have settled into your energy field like heavy stones. Tonight, the first gate opens with an invitation that may feel foreign to you. Release. Not productivity, not planning, not fixing, but releasing what was never yours to carry in the first place. There's a subtle exhaustion that's crept into your spirit lately, hasn't there? Even when your schedule is clear, you still feel tired. Not physically, but soul deep. You might wake up feeling like you've already lived a full day. You might find your breath stuck at the top of your chest, or notice you sigh often without realizing it. This fatigue doesn't come from laziness or weakness. It comes from over-functioning. From trying so hard to hold the world together that you forgot to check if your own roots were being watered. Capricorn, your natural gift is structure. You build. You organize. You lead. But what no one talks about is how easily that gift becomes a prison when you start building around others instead of yourself. When you confuse being dependable with being indispensable. Let me share the story of David, a Capricorn in his late 40s. For over 20 years, David had been the backbone of his family. He worked 2 jobs, helped his siblings financially, cared for his aging parents, and rarely took time for himself. People praised his dedication. They called him strong, noble, selfless. But in quiet moments, David felt empty. He would lie in bed at night, unable to sleep, plagued by a deep ache he couldn't name. It wasn't physical, it was the pain of a life lived for everyone but himself. One night, during a quiet walk alone, he heard an inner voice whisper, "You are not responsible for everyone's happiness." That sentence cracked something open in him. He began to set boundaries, small at first. He said no when his brother asked for money again. He stopped answering work emails after 9 p.m. He took a full day off and went hiking alone. And slowly, the fog began to lift. His body softened. His dreams returned. His smile, once just a reflex, began to feel real again. Capricorn, this is your invitation too. As you prepare for sleep tonight, ask yourself, whose expectations am I still carrying? What have I accepted as my duty that was never my soul's calling? Where have I confused loyalty with self-abandonment? This is not about turning your back on others. It's about returning to yourself. Because if your cup is empty, your service becomes sacrifice. And Capricorn, you were never meant to sacrifice your joy to be worthy of love. Tonight, let's begin the sacred act of releasing. Release the guilt that rises when you rest. Release the perfectionism that tells you peace must be earned. Release the old voices that said love comes only after hard work. You don't need to solve everything before sleep. You don't need to figure it all out tonight. But you do need to lay it down energetically, emotionally, spiritually. Imagine yourself placing all that weight beside your bed, not because you don't care, but because you are learning to care for yourself first. There's an ancient concept in astrology that Capricorn's true evolution comes not from climbing higher, but from descending deeper, into the soil of your being, into the parts of yourself you've ignored while building for others. The mountain goat becomes the sea goat in your myth for a reason. The upper half climbs, but the lower half? It swims in the emotional, the hidden, the subconscious. This is your night to dive into those waters. What old family beliefs are still shaping your decisions? What generational wounds are you unconsciously trying to fix by being the reliable one? Maybe your mother never had support, so you vowed to always be strong. Maybe your father equated rest with laziness, so you overwork to feel valid. Maybe your culture or upbringing taught you that worth comes from sacrifice. Tonight, let those patterns rise gently, not to judge them, not to fight them, but to witness them, because awareness is the first form of release. You may even dream of being underwater tonight, or of flying, or of empty houses. These are symbols from your soul. Water for emotional release, flying for freedom, empty homes for letting go of inherited burdens. And when you wake tomorrow, even if nothing externally has changed, something in you will feel lighter. You'll find yourself responding instead of reacting. You'll take pauses. You'll say no when you mean it. You'll feel less guilty for needing space. That's not weakness. That's healing. Capricorn, your power doesn't come from holding everything together. It comes from knowing what's truly yours to hold. This first gate is not easy for you, but it is essential, because every gate that follows requires a version of you that is no longer carrying what's not yours. So tonight, before sleep, place your hand on your heart and say quietly, I release what is not mine. I choose to rest. I am safe to let go. Then breathe, and let your dreams do the rest. Gate 2, the sacred mirror. Energetic relationship rebalancing. Capricorn, let's gently step through the second gate. This one leads us into a more vulnerable realm, the space of your relationships. You may pride yourself on being rational, steady, grounded. And you are. But beneath that admirable exterior lives a heart that feels deeply, even if quietly. You're not one to make a scene, but emotional storms do pass through you. Silent, contained, sometimes ignored. Tonight, as you prepare for sleep, your energy body is asking for balance, not in the form of compromise, but in the form of truth. Relationships are sacred mirrors. Every person you attract, every dynamic you tolerate or resist, carries information about your inner world. When the scales feel tipped, when you find yourself overgiving, over-explaining, or shrinking just to keep peace, it is often because a part of you has forgotten your own worth. Capricorn, you have a history of playing roles. The strong one, the responsible one, the provider, the fixer. And yes, there is a nobility in that. But let's be honest, have you ever stayed too long in a connection that drained you, simply because you didn't want to fail at love? There's a tendency in your sign to make relationships a project, to commit out of loyalty rather than resonance. To stay in connections long after your spirit has outgrown them because you made a silent promise, to yourself, to them, to an idea of how things should be. Tonight, your soul gently asks, what if you could stop performing and start receiving? Let's take the example of Tasha, a Capricorn woman in her 30s. On the surface, her relationship looked stable. Her partner was kind, supportive, present. But she noticed a growing emptiness. Every conversation felt transactional. There was care but not connection. Stability but not spark. She hesitated to speak up. Maybe I'm being too emotional, she told herself. Maybe I'm expecting too much. But deep down, she knew this wasn't about drama. It was about alignment. One night, before sleep, she journaled a simple question. What am I really needing from love? The answer surprised her. Presence. Depth. Soul conversation. She began asking for more honest moments. And when those weren't met, she chose to step away, not out of blame, but out of reverence for her own growth. Within 6 months, she met someone who saw her, not just her accomplishments, but her spirit. And for the first time in years, she felt safe to be seen. Capricorn, love is not a transaction. It's not something to manage, fix, or endure. Love, in its truest form, is a recognition, a resonance. And if you've been feeling unseen, unheard, or emotionally lonely, even in a room full of people, it may be time to rebalance the sacred mirror. You don't need to make drastic decisions tonight, but you do need to get honest with yourself. Who in your life drains your energy the moment they enter the room? Which conversations leave you feeling smaller, not stronger? What version of yourself do you feel forced to become in order to keep someone else comfortable? These are hard questions, but they are also freeing. Because Capricorn, you were not born to perform emotional labor for others who refuse to grow. You were not born to earn love through usefulness. You deserve relationships where your silence is honored, your dreams are nurtured, and your soul feels safe. Let's go deeper. One of the most powerful energetic shifts you can make right now is this. Stop matching other people's energy. Start maintaining your own. You see, Capricorn often adapts. You pick up cues, take on burdens, try to regulate dynamics without even realizing it. But that comes at a cost. You begin to abandon your own emotional rhythm to keep others stable. Tonight, choose instead to observe without absorbing, to love without losing yourself. Visualize a soft, energetic light surrounding your body as you lie in bed. This is your boundary, not to push others away, but to protect your inner peace. Inside this field, you are free to be fully you. Outside of it, everything else belongs to the world, not your responsibility. Your dreams may bring you images tonight. Old relationships, unresolved conversations, even people you haven't thought of in years. Don't be surprised. Your subconscious is doing spring cleaning. Let it. You may find, in the days that follow, that certain relationships shift on their own. Some may grow stronger. Others may begin to fade. This isn't failure, it's flow. You are realigning your field to match your new vibration of self-respect. Capricorn, your relationships don't need to be perfect, but they do need to be truthful. And that truth begins with how you treat yourself. If you want devotion, give it inward first. If you want safety, become a safe place for your own feelings. If you want respect, stop explaining your boundaries like they need justification. There is a powerful truth I want you to hold close tonight. You teach people how to treat you by the energy you allow, the space you hold, and the silence you break. No more dimming your light to protect fragile egos. No more shrinking your dreams to fit someone else's vision. No more confusing consistency with compatibility. You are not hard to love. You are hard to fool. And that distinction matters. So tonight, before you drift into sleep, place your hand over your solar plexus, the seat of your power, and whisper, I am worthy of love that meets me at the depth of my soul. I no longer perform. I receive. Then breathe. Let the mirror rebalance. Let the old cords dissolve. Let your dreams make space for soul-aligned connection. Because the love you're looking for isn't far away. It's simply waiting for the real you to rise. Gate 3. The wisdom of surrender and the power of trust. Capricorn, you've spent most of your life mastering structure, strategy, and self-discipline. You plan. You anticipate. You build. Control has often been your armor in a world that feels unpredictable. But what if I told you that one of your greatest portals to healing is not through effort, but through surrender? This gate may feel the most foreign to you. After all, Capricorn is ruled by Saturn, the great teacher of boundaries, time, and consequence. You've learned from a young age that nothing worth having comes easy, that success demands sacrifice, and that chaos is only tamed through control. And in many ways, you've excelled. You've overcome storms that would break most. You've survived droughts that left others empty. You've become a pillar of resilience. But tonight, your soul invites you to step into a new kind of strength, the kind that doesn't need to hold everything so tightly. Surrender is not weakness. It is sacred trust. It's what happens when the mountain climber stops for a moment, not because they've given up, but because they realize the view is already beautiful right where they are. It's what happens when the storm comes, and instead of building more walls, you finally allow yourself to stand barefoot in the rain and say, "Let it cleanse me." Let me tell you the story of Mara, a Capricorn healer in her 50s. For years, she built a thriving business, managed every detail, kept her family afloat, and looked like the image of perfect balance. But no one knew that every night, she cried in the shower, afraid to admit how exhausted she felt trying to hold it all. One winter, she got sick. Not just a flu, but a deep, soul-level depletion. Her body forced her into stillness. She canceled appointments. She stopped working. And for the first time in decades, she had no plan. The first few days, she panicked. Then something shifted. She began to write again. She took naps. She noticed the light on the walls. And slowly, a new sense of guidance emerged, not from her to-do list, but from within. That pause became the rebirth of her entire path. Capricorn, your breakthroughs are waiting in those spaces where you stop controlling and start allowing, where you trade effort for trust, where you let go not because you're done trying, but because you're finally ready to receive what's meant for you. Right now, your life may feel like it's in between things. A chapter has ended, the next hasn't fully formed, and you want answers. You want certainty. But the cosmos doesn't speak in calendars or contracts. It speaks in seasons. And this season is asking you to soften. To surrender doesn't mean you give up. It means you give over to something wiser, deeper, more whole than your mind alone can grasp. And you do this not with blind naivety, but with sacred intelligence. You trust not because you have no fear, but because your soul has earned its wisdom. Close your eyes. Breathe. What if, for the next few minutes, you let go of needing to know what's next? What if you could trust that the very act of resting, of releasing, of letting go, is doing enough? We've been conditioned to believe surrender is passive. But in truth, it's wildly active. It's the moment you say, "I trust the timing of my life. I trust what is meant for me will not pass me by." Let that sentence enter your bloodstream tonight. Capricorn, surrender is a sacred skill, and right now, you're being invited to learn it in real time. The universe is rearranging some part of your path. You may feel delays, blocks, detours. But these aren't punishments, they're pivots. And the more you try to force what isn't aligned, the more resistance you'll feel. But when you lean back, even just a little, when you unclench your grip on how it must look, that's when the magic enters. Have you noticed how flowers bloom without effort? How tides rise without planning? You, too, are part of nature. You, too, are allowed to trust your becoming. This week, you may dream of rivers, sky, open landscapes, symbols of flow. These aren't coincidences. They are invitations. Let them guide you. Let go of needing closure on every story. Let go of demanding clarity from every person. Let go of controlling how your healing should unfold. Instead, say, "I open to receive. I surrender the struggle. I trust my becoming." You may feel emotional tonight. That's okay. The tears that come when you surrender are holy. They wash the residue of over-efforting from your heart. In the days to come, you may find surprising synchronicities. An old friend reaches out. A job offer arrives. A door opens where you thought there was only wall. That's the universe catching you because you finally stopped running ahead of it. Capricorn, you've earned the right to rest in grace. You've earned the right to not always be the one who holds it all. You've earned the right to cry without a reason, to not know what's next, to fall into mystery and call it home. This gate is not about fixing. It's about floating. It's about remembering that the river already knows where it's going. Tonight, before you sleep, place both hands over your belly, your center of trust, and whisper, "I am safe to let go. I trust the flow. I trust my future is already unfolding in perfect rhythm." Then exhale. You don't need to climb tonight, Capricorn. Just rest. Just float. Just be. Gate 4. Awaken the inner creator, dreaming a new reality into being. Capricorn, you've journeyed through the gates of release, recognition, and surrender. And now, you stand at the final threshold, the place where your inner world begins to shape your outer reality. This is not imagination. This is creation. It is time to dream again, not as a wishful thinker, but as a conscious architect of your next chapter. You see, every Capricorn has two sides: the mountain goat who climbs steadily toward external goals, and the mythical sea goat whose tail swims through the waters of the unconscious. That second part of you, the intuitive, mystical, dream-weaving part, often gets buried beneath responsibility. But not tonight. Tonight, under the quiet stars and the soft rhythm of your own breath, that inner creator is stirring. You are not just here to achieve. You are here to imprint reality with your soul's unique vision. And Gate 4 invites you to remember that. Let me tell you the story of Jonas, a Capricorn artist who worked as a graphic designer for over a decade. He loved structure, deadlines, and clarity, but something always felt flat. At night, he would dream of vivid landscapes, surreal scenes, mystical symbols. He never spoke of it, until one night, his dream repeated itself so powerfully that he woke up in tears. It was a vision of a city made entirely of sound and light. Colors shifted with emotion. Buildings responded to breath. He felt more alive in that dream than he had in years of waking life. Something clicked. He began painting again, not commissions or commercial work, but pure expressions of his dream world. Within a year, his abstract work was being shown in galleries. He said to me once, "I finally stopped designing for the world and started designing for my soul." Capricorn, you may not be a painter. You may not even call yourself creative. But I promise you, every soul is born with the power to create. Your creations might be in the form of words, gardens, businesses, meals, solutions, songs, movements. It's not about form, it's about frequency. And the frequency of your life right now is whispering. It's safe to dream again. Not from fear, but from essence. You've been taught to build only what's practical, to desire only what's safe. But that time is over. The universe is aligning to support not your safety, but your soul's expansion. So, what wants to be born through you? Maybe it's a new project. Maybe a lifestyle shift. Maybe a totally new identity you've long kept hidden beneath layers of shoulds and have-tos. Whatever it is, Gate 4 is the moment to begin listening. And not with logic, but with stillness. As you lie down tonight, I invite you to ask this question with your whole being. What does my soul long to create next? Not what should I do, but what wants to come through me? You may not get a clear answer at first. That's okay. Dreams often speak in symbols, not sentences. But pay attention. In the coming days, you may feel drawn to certain colors, stories, ideas, or impulses you haven't felt in years. This is the awakening, the remembering, the return. Capricorn, you don't need to know how it will all work out. That's not your job yet. Your job now is to say yes. Yes to inspiration. Yes to nudges. Yes to a vision that doesn't yet make sense. Yes to joy, not just productivity. Yes to softness, not just survival. You've built empires. You've carried legacies. Now it's time to build something else, something more sacred. A life that feels like your soul wrote it. What if the most powerful strategy now is to dream without limits? Let your mind wander. Let your inner child speak. Let your body move in rhythm with visions unfiltered by doubt. These moments of unguarded dreaming are not distractions. They are directions. You may feel tears tonight, not of sadness, but of recognition, like remembering an old song from childhood, like touching a memory you didn't know you missed. Let them come. You are not behind. You are not late. You are exactly on time to begin the next story. And this time, you get to write it not from fear of failure, but from a deep knowing that you are the artist of your experience. Capricorn, this is your sacred invitation to dream as boldly as you've ever worked, to imagine with the same intensity you once reserved for achievement, to sculpt your life from the clay of soul, not just circumstance. Tonight, as you drift into sleep, bring one image to mind, one possibility that excites you, even if it scares you. See it, feel it, taste it, breathe it in as if it's already here. Then say softly, I am ready to receive the dreams that are truly mine. I am the creator of the world I now walk into. Then rest. Let your dreams take over. Let your guides speak in symbols. Let the canvas of your consciousness be painted by the colors of your true becoming. Because tomorrow, when you wake up, the first brushstroke of your new reality will already be complete. Conclusion: return to the mountain with new eyes. Capricorn, you began this journey in stillness. In the silence before sleep, we uncovered gates not just of transformation, but of remembrance. You remembered who you were before the expectations, before the obligations, before the weight of the world said you had to earn your worth through effort alone. Now, having walked through the 4 sacred gates, releasing the burden of perfection, honoring the wisdom of the past, surrendering control, and awakening the inner creator, you return not as who you were, but as who you are becoming. You are not just the builder of outer empires. You are the keeper of inner worlds, the climber of mountains, yes, but also the dreamer of heavens. Let this moment before sleep become your altar. Each breath you take is a prayer. Each intention you whisper is a seed. And as you drift into the fertile realm of dreams tonight, know this: you are no longer just reacting to life. You're now composing it. The energy you bring into sleep is the blueprint of your tomorrow. And the deeper you trust the process, the more easefully your external world begins to reflect the alignment you've cultivated inside. So, Capricorn, what song do you want to wake up to tomorrow? Let it be a melody of gentleness, of permission, of quiet joy. Let it be a morning that doesn't start with pressure, but with presence. Let it be a life that no longer waits to be earned, but begins to be lived fully now. As always, if this message resonated with your heart, share it with someone who may be walking their own silent battle. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, so we can walk together through the mysteries of the cosmos and the hidden truths of the soul. Your journey continues in every breath, every dream, every moment you say yes to your own becoming. Good night, Capricorn. Sleep in peace. The mountain will still be there in the morning, but you'll climb it with a softer heart.